Hello Internet, it's me again, and let's see, we haven't done a Slavic mythology video in a while. Let's change that. So, if you might be noticing by the title, we're going to be talking about the good boy and the bad boy, Simargle. And if you've seen some of my videos, you might notice that he's a bit conflicting in things. So I decided that we do a video on him, like our Anubis video, basically explaining his history, his lore, and what exactly is his deal. Now, remember, Slavic mythology is complicated, and reasons we'll get to later. But first, let's go into his stories. Now, if we rewind time a bit ago, you might remember I already told the story of Simargle, but since I've been better at drawing, let's do a little recap here. So, in the beginning, things are looking pretty good. Humans were made, the earth was made, all was pretty rad. Until Chernobog happened, where he turned everyone evil and basically the equivalent of a full GTA Online server. Yes, it was that destructive. So Savrog, deciding that he didn't want this to happen, but also didn't want to do it himself, so he decided to forge new gods to take care of the problem. He made Dashbog, Stribog, and Simargle. I really hope I'm pronouncing those right. Together, the three stopped their shenaniganery, and then there was much rejoicing. He soon has a wife and kids, and that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. Please like it, and wait a minute, we still have a lot more to talk about Simargle. Like that one time he was gonna destroy the whole cosmos? I talked about this before, but again I'll sum it up for you guys. He's basically changed up to the star Polarius, watched over by the two Zorias. If he ever breaks out, he would eat the constellation Ursa Minor, which would be a very bad thing. But to one thing to consider, that this is a very similar myth to another myth. A myth that contains another world-destroying doggo. Is that a term? I'm gonna make that a term. Anyways, the doggo I'm talking about is Fenrir. Now, I'm not really sure if anyone else pointed this out, but two great dog gods, yes, I'm gonna make that term also, being contained for the dangers of turning the world into literal chew toys. Now, yes, there are some differences, like how one of them has wings, and the other one is responsible for an event that has multiple metal albums named after it. You can decide which one is cooler. Like I said before, I'm not really sure if anyone pointed this out already, or I just haven't found it, but these are really very similar if you really think about it. So let's just put a pin on this and move on. We'll get back to it. Now we're going to talk about his godly roles. So as you can see here, Simargle is the god of fire, but not only that, he's also the god of crops. Now, I'm gonna be real here, but farming and fire doesn't really look like it would match well. Until I found out that Eastern Slavs used to actually use a slash and burn tactic for their farming. After when they cut down their crops, they used fire to burn down the rest for easy cultivation. So this would explain why he's the god of fire and crops. But I also should mention that he's seen in multiple different ways. First of all, he's also seen as a messenger of the gods, a connection between heaven and earth. Also possibly a war god, but this is evidenced by his idol being paired up with Perun, who is a definite war god. Simargle was even called the patron of war, and even in some cases he was depicted as an old man or a youthful warrior in battle. By the way, I'm just gonna say this, if you're a giant flaming dog, I'm pretty sure that's more intimidating for war, but I'm not the giant flaming dog, so what can I say? But for worshippers, he was mostly worshipped by the Eastern Slavs, and mostly one in particular, Vladimir I. After doing what all great leaders do back then by eating territories alive and hoping things would go out well, he started ruling a large land, and then decided to merge most religions together. You see, it was an attempt to unify the Slavic beliefs in a kind of Voltron kind of style, but instead of giant lion robots, he tried to canonize multiple deities by having their idols made on the hill on the capital of Kiev. Because of this, multiple deities were mostly more known than other deities, and one of these deities were Simargle. But still, all good things must come to an end. When Vladimir decided to go with the Eastern Orthodox Church and get baptized, which wasn't a good sign for the pagan gods. Now, for origins, we're gonna have to look into Persian mythology with the Simargles, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that one right. Now, the Simargles, TLDR, is basically this mystical dog-bird creature, which is seen as legendary. Now, the thing about this creature is that it's also seen as a messenger. A messenger? I wonder where I heard that before. Now, as smart as you all are, you're able to connect the dots, you Sherlock Holmes use, and you probably realize that this probably influenced that. But is it really that much of a stretch? Well, not really. Back then, Slavic mythology was also influenced by the idea of dualism. But this doesn't explain something. If Simargle is seen as this great god, why is he seen as this horrible monster in the other version? Well, I might have a theory on that. Now, it's my theory alone, so you probably shouldn't have too much faith in it, but to me it makes sense. So, remember how I brought up Fenrir? Well, for the Eastern Slavic tribes, they had to deal with the Varangians around the 8th century. Even though they could have came earlier than that, but we're not going to cover that. But what we are going to cover is that when the Varangians came by, they either came for trade or trade in quotations. Now, when two different cultures start trading, ideas start spreading, and eventually gods. Some gods are usually spread forth into other cultures by trade. So what I believe, now remember this is just my idea, that the idea or the tale of Fenrir spread into the Eastern Slavics culture. And eventually, it started making some different views on Simargle, where some see him as a heroic god, and others can see him as a monster locked up in the stars. Also, side note, I did also find a version where Zoria is regarded against a giant bear, not Simargle. And this just keeps on proving that gods change over time. When you look at a god today, they are definitely not the same as they were a long time ago. Like, if you go into the history of Dionysus, that is a crazy one. Unless you want me to do that, then I'll be happy to. Or heck, we can go back in time and check out my Anubis video showing how Anubis changed from god of the underworld to the psychopomp we love today. I feel like that's kind of beautiful in a way. History never stays the same. It always changes. But I think that's all for now. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to. It's your choice. Ring that bell for any more notifications for my videos. And also check out my Instagram account. I'll be mostly posting on there about new deities and gods. If you want to see a god suggested, just put it in the comments below. And I'll add it to my list of deities to draw. But I believe that's all for now. See you all next time. And have a beautiful day.